Kobe Bryant once had a conversation with Larry Bird and walked away a different person. Not because Bird handed him some motivational speech, not because Bird broke down film with him for hours. It was something simpler than that, something colder. Bird said the kind of thing that only makes sense when you've already decided losing is not an option. And Kobe never forgot it. Now, here's what makes this story worth telling. These two men never played against each other. But if you study both of them long enough, you realize something uncomfortable. They were the same person, wearing different jerseys, same obsession, same standards, same terrifying relationship with the game of basketball. This is not a coincidence. This is a blueprint. Before Larry Bird was a legend, he was a skinny kid from a small town in Indiana that most people couldn't find on a map. French Lick. Population, not much. Opportunity, even less. His family struggled. So Bird took all of that weight and poured it into a basketball, because a gym was the one place where effort had a direct relationship with results. By the time he got to Indiana State, coaches were already noticing something that went beyond skill. Bird didn't practice like someone trying to make a team. He practiced like someone trying to settle a debt. Every drill, every repetition, every shot carried the energy of a man who felt he had something to prove to the entire world. His teammates called it intense. Opponents called it unsettling. Bird just called it practice. He would show up to the gym before anyone else and leave after everyone had gone home. He shot free throws until the gym staff had to physically ask him to leave because they needed to lock up. This was not dedication. This was obsession. And obsession, when it's pointed in the right direction, looks a lot like genius. Kobe Bryant grew up watching his father Joe play professionally in Italy. He had access most kids only dream about: NBA locker rooms, professional training, a front row seat to what the game looked like at its highest level. And instead of being satisfied by all of that, it made him hungrier. You see, Kobe saw something early that a lot of young players miss completely. Access is not the same as greatness. Proximity is not the same as excellence. You could be around the best players in the world every single day and still be mediocre if you didn't choose to be ruthless about your own development. So Kobe made a choice. He chose to wake up at 4 in the morning while his teammates were still sleeping. He chose to study film the way a law student studies for the bar exam. He chose to treat every single practice rep like a Game 7 situation, because he believed that how you practice is exactly who you become under pressure. Phil Jackson once said that coaching Kobe was unlike coaching any player he had ever encountered. Not because Kobe was difficult, though sometimes he was, but because Kobe's standard for himself was so unreasonably high that it almost didn't fit inside a normal team structure. He expected everything from himself and then looked around the room expecting the same from everyone else. Here is the part that gets overlooked in every Bird vs. Kobe conversation. Both men understood that the mental game was not separate from the physical game. What happened inside your head before you touched the ball determined every single thing that happened after. Bird talked about this repeatedly throughout his career. He said that when he walked onto a basketball court, he had already decided the outcome. And if the outcome didn't match what he decided, he went home, watched the film, identified the exact moment where it went wrong, fixed it, and came back. Kobe operated the same way. He called it the Mamba Mentality. He was big on taking full ownership of wins, of losses, of your own weakness, especially your weakness. Because you cannot fix what you don't acknowledge. And most players, even great ones, have a limit on how honest they'll be with themselves about where they're failing. Bird had no such limit. Kobe had no such limit. That is why both of them kept improving in ways that made people question whether they were actually human. People have the wrong idea about how both of these men competed verbally. When Bird walked down the court and told the defender exactly where the shot was coming from and then hit it, the crowd thought it was arrogance. It wasn't. It was a psychological operation being carried out in real time. Kobe did the same thing with silence. He didn't always need words. He had a stare that veterans around the league talked about openly, a look that communicated something very specific, that he had already seen everything you were about to do, that he had prepared for it, that your best was not going to be enough today. Both of them used psychological pressure as a competitive weapon the same way a point guard uses a crossover. Here is the part nobody wants to talk about because it complicates the legend. Bird lost. Painfully, publicly. He lost in the finals. He lost seasons to injury. He watched his body betray him while his mind was still sharp enough to compete at the highest level. And when his career ended, it ended without the farewell tour he deserved because his back simply gave out. Kobe lost too, the 2004 finals. The seasons when the Lakers were rebuilding and the rest of the league was passing them by. The injuries that piled up in the back half of his career. And here's what both men did with losing that made them different from almost everyone else at their level. They treated it like film, literally. They watched it back, cataloged it, extracted the lesson, and added it to their arsenal. Most players avoid the film after a bad loss. The shame is too much. The pain is too fresh. Bird and Kobe watched it first. Because losing, when you're honest about it, tells you more about your game than any win ever will. Wins can hide mistakes. Losses expose everything. Teammates of both men tell the same story with different names attached. Bird's intensity in practice made some Celtics uncomfortable early on. Kevin McHale has talked about it openly. Dennis Johnson talked about it. The standard Bird held himself to was so high that standing next to him in a drill felt like an audition you hadn't prepared for. He didn't lower the bar for anyone, not even on a random Tuesday in November. Kobe's teammates said almost word for word the same thing. The 4 a.m. workouts. The expectation that everyone in the building shared his level of seriousness about the game. The look he gave a teammate who came to practice distracted or unprepared. Both of them led by standard, not by speech. They didn't call team meetings to talk about effort. They just showed up operating at a level that made every other level look like an excuse. Some teammates rose to meet them. Those are the ones with rings. The ones who couldn't meet them found other teams. That's not cold. That's just what it looks like when two people take winning seriously enough to make it the only acceptable outcome. The conversation between Bird and Kobe wasn't one afternoon in a gym. It was a recognition. Two competitors from different generations looking at each other and seeing the same fire burning from the same place. A place where doubt used to live before they burned it down completely. Kobe was dealing with the leadership demands of the Los Angeles Lakers after Shaq's departure. Some teammates didn't seem to understand his intensity. Well, Bird told him exactly what he needed to hear. The legend said, "You, Michael Jordan, and me might have been better off playing individual sports." What Bird passed on to Kobe was not a secret technique or a tactical adjustment. It was confirmation. Confirmation that the obsession was correct, that the standard was worth holding, that the loneliness that comes with being the most serious person in every room you walk into is the price of doing something that outlasts you. Kobe took that and built a second act out of it. A mentality that went beyond basketball and touched every corner of how he operated as a human being. So, this is where we draw the curtains for today. If you enjoyed this, kindly subscribe to this channel to see more videos like this.
Everybody wants it to get into Kobe's hand. Kobe pump fake for two. Kobe stopped the Laker record. 81-point game. Ladies and gentlemen, you have witnessed the second greatest scoring performance in NBA history.